Do you ever just see an ad for something and go, why does that exist? Like, why do we need so many different flavors of Coke? Well, that's how I felt seeing the Crunchyroll ads for the Island of Giant Insects. Instantly, my first thought was to laugh off the whole idea. But then I started checking out the comment sections, and that was a collection of vague statements. Things like, they're really making this into an anime? Or, and people thought Goblin Slayer was controversial. So naturally, my interest was piqued, and I decided to read the manga to get an idea of what this anime is going to be about. And holy crap was I taken for a ride. After reading all the currently released chapters, I've got to say, there are some gripes I have with this being adapted into an anime. I've broken them down into sections, so let's just dive on into it. Firstly, I want to say that there is so much sex, nudity, and gore that I can't imagine this airing on TV without being heavily censored. The way the manga is drawn is about one camera angle away from being a hentai, which would make sense since I'm pretty sure the original artist does draw hentai. I mean, from what I researched, not from the top of my head or anything anyway. There's also a gratuitous amount of rape sequences in it. There's like 5 scenes in the 42 chapters currently out, and if the anime is going to end where I think it will, it's going to go through 4 of those scenes. That's a lot of sexual content that's not even counting just regular nudity. So if this anime proceeds to censor its adult content, it would make for an absolutely annoying watch, with blackout scenes and weird censor edits everywhere. Which, in my opinion, will probably alienate fans of the source material, as well as newcomers looking for a new risque show. And yes, I'm aware any censorships put in place will most likely be removed during the home release of the anime, but I'm mainly just focusing on the initial TV broadcast of the show. The manga does this neat job of making the insects look terrifying by using a realistic art style for them. But for the show, judging solely by the trailers, it looks like they're going to be CG instead. I normally don't have a problem with CG in anime, especially if it's done well. But the insects look so out of place in the trailer, it's a pretty drastic difference in art style. This is going to be a major detriment to the anime since the manga genuinely makes the insects terrifying and unsettling. With bad CG, I could see a lot of the more frightening scenes just coming off as hilarious. Alright, it's a basic survival horror anime with gore-filled deaths. Not too bad. The problem with it though is the characters suck. There are a couple of decent characters and I'll go more into that later. Okay, so I mentioned the gratuitous amount of rape in the series. But a lot of that goes unpunished. It's almost as if the characters don't care and they just tell the person to knock it off and they forget it ever happened. It makes no sense for the main cast to even interact with half the extras because, I mean, holy shit, they're all rapists. I found myself rooting for the bugs half the time. I'm just not sure how many people are going to stick around to watch shitty people continue to be shitty. As much as I do have my gripes with the manga, there are some good parts in it. The main character is an insect enthusiast, so she's able to identify the bugs and give information on them. And this reminds me of shows I've enjoyed in the past, like Killing Bites, and I can't believe I'm going to compare this to this, but Cells at Work. These little tidbits of information were fun to have and made the story more enjoyable, and somewhat grounded in reality. Well, I mean, as real as you can make giant man-eating insects. There are some characters I did like. Our main character is very enjoyable to watch, as well as a reliable and strong character. Not to mention, there's this other character that goes through some amazing character growth. Like, she's completely unrecognizable from the way the story starts, and it's awesome. It's also a very fluid transition. Overall, the manga is not terrible. But the trailers for the show are doing a less than stellar job of selling the horror, and it's just making me feel like this entire thing is just going to flop. If censorship doesn't completely ruin it, the weekly wait to just see people be shitty doesn't seem like it will be able to hold an audience. But there is something I've neglected to mention during this video. I read the whole of the currently released chapters in one sitting. The art style and creepiness of the story really sucked me in, and honestly I stuck around wanting to see those evil characters get their just desserts, even if they were delayed. I bring this part up because I don't hate the manga. I don't want people to think that. I just cannot see how it will be adapted successfully. I can't see the show being good. But I guess that's the whole reason I wanted to start this YouTube channel, was to watch shows that shouldn't be good or people say they're bad and figure out for myself. So I guess my final thoughts on this are, not only am I going to watch a show about giant bugs, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if there's a bad anime out there that you think I should watch, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. As always, feel free to subscribe so you never miss out on an Anime Dumpster Dive podcast, which we release on a monthly basis now. As always, thanks for listening. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a shower because I feel like bugs are crawling on me. Ugh.